Chapter 146, Mystery Man. Zack was struggling hard with his throat in my grasp, but my fingers didn't budge. Grrr. Finally seeing fear welling up in the man's eyes, I slightly loosened my grip. What do I gotta do? Right. I'm going to need a room, can you get me that? And not right away. I'll need a month. I looked into his eyes as he spoke. He didn't seem to be lying. I see. Well, whatever. Actually, suddenly getting myself a room will make me stand out. Out. I just need a roof over my head is all. I'll sleep in the hallways, I guess. Sure thing. Sure thing. I'll get you a spot. Also, I'll need meals, well-balanced meals. If you can't get that, I'm afraid I won't need you. Why you won't need me? Nope, not at all. I tighten my grip momentarily. Oh, okay. I can do meals, 3 meals a day, no problemo. Thanks a bunch. Next, info. Yeah, I'll need that. This place looks like it'll be fun. Lots of intrigue. I'll answer anything I know. Then, let's talk about our relationship. Relationship. You said you're with the Doem camp, yes. I don't want to pick a side just yet. I'll be trash. Trash. Then I suggest you don't talk to me in public. How am I getting you the food? I'll have it in this room. I can come in without anyone noticing, so it's not an issue. Sure. Zack had on an extremely bitter expression. Yeah, that's enough for now. I'll find you when I need something again. Yeah, you do that. I let go of his neck. He sat down and looked up at me while saging his throat. Who the H.E.L.L are you? How come you're this strong when we're not supposed to have mana? Who can say? You're no student. A spy, no, someone from the underworld. Perhaps, but would I really reveal that? I said, putting some strength in my gaze. Tisk Zack tsked and looked away. F.U.C. King politics, whatever, I ain't involved, just do whatever you gotta do. That I will. Mr. Zack. That I will. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I turn my back to the dejected Zack and grab the door handle. Ah, right. I don't think I need to tell you, but do keep this on the hush-hush. I know. No. Just a friendly warning. You see, I honestly don't care if I have to kill you and everyone else in your little Doem camp, I said, momentarily releasing a strong helping of mana and blood. U.S.T. Wah. But your mana's supposed to be. As if this trinket can seal me. I said finally, opening the door and exiting the room. F.U.C. came with a sledgehammer. I just had to pick up a freaking monster. Listening into Zach's muttering from the other side, I did another mental fist pump. Chapter 147, Not Enough Calories at All. The trash in the concentration camp get one meal a day. All these hobo-like gents would line up in the courtyard and await their share. On the menu today, we have hard bread and soup. Soup. As I took my meal, I noticed the surrounding gazes locking onto me. They're thinking they'll pick it off of me, the B.U.Bling newcomer. They think they're not making it obvious, but it's really obvious. I mean, I have a good meal waiting for me courtesy of Mr. Zach, so I could just make like a mob and get it taken from me, but I'm just a little curious about this too. Well, whatever happens. I make a show of hiding my food by cradling it and quickly make my way away from the crowd. Basically, I'm saying they can take it, but I'll put up a fight. I managed to cross the courtyard without incident and made it to the spot of hallway Mr. Zach reserved for me. All right, here goes nothing. I started with the soup. It was garnished with vegetable sc.r.a.ps and just a few beans. Tasted, slightly salty. Like, it was bad, but I could eat it. Bread was also bad, kind of bitter too. The bigger pieces were sort of better. Tolerable if you dipped it in the soup first. In summary, edible, but just bad. The meal was utterly lacking in protein. The only source of protein would be these tiny beans. And not enough calories at all. A paltry 500 calories at most. I couldn't imagine this to be enough to cover a day's worth of energy. No wonder they're all skin and bones. I can understand the desire to steal. Ho, newcomer. Two men approached as I was eating. They were both thin and ragged, but their eyes still had a glint to them. Do us a solid, will ya? What do you want? I made like a small, scared animal trying to defend itself. Nothing much, just hand over the food. But this is the only meal we get today. Shut up and hand it over. So the threats began. Hand over the food, and you don't get hurt. Try anything and you're still in for pain after we take your food. Get my logic? Logic. Now let's just make it easy for all of us. and no, I. Tisk. Tisk, f.u.c.ken r.e.t.a.r.d. One of them grabbed my collar and shoved me against the wall. He'll get it after a punch or three, he said and raised his fist. You will stop, interrupted the voice of a girl. F.U.C.K off, busy. Wait. Wait, that's. Standing there in the hallway, was a beautiful girl. She had on prisoner garb like the rest of us, and had pink blonde hair. She kind of resembled someone. Let him go, now. The two men relented to pink blondie staring them down. Tisk. Tisk, we're done here. Yeah. My collar was released and the men scurried away. Thanks so much. You are. It's all right now. The pink blonde beauty smiled reassuringly. This camp had few female prisoners. Most of them were women prepared for the Doem camp, but I had a feeling this girl here wasn't one of those. Food is quite scarce for everyone. You'd best eat your fill quickly. Yes. You may speak to me if anything. Lady Clara, this boy was seen speaking to a man of the Doem camp. A tough-looking dude came up from behind Pink Blondie. He looked like he didn't like me. Was he? Was he, but he surely didn't know. Be that as it may, we must tread with caution. Of course. Zach just told me about a bunch of stuff and, so. That is. That is fine. This isn't exactly the kindest place to be, so stay safe. Safe. The girl, along with the tough dude, then left. As he said me, the guy gave me another glare. I made a show of being scared out of my wits and stayed like that until they were gone. Then I muttered. Major player, right there. MR. Zach should be able to tell me who that is while I eat. Her name was Clara, she really did remind me of, right, her. She looked a lot like Miss Rose. Maybe she's related to Oriana royalty. Chapter 148, When It's All Over. I breached Zach's room with him completely unawares. "Oh, it's you. How'd you even do that?" Once he noticed I was there, Zach's eyes bulged in shock. He, nice reaction. Reaction. I really liked this guy and his totally cliché reactions. Here's that meal. Have at it, he said, handing me a plate full of food. Thanks. I'll borrow the table. Be my guest. Time for the moment of truth. On the menu this time, we have bread and cream stew, along with steak and vegetables. Simple and plentiful. The bread was actually white on the inside and smelled pretty good. The cream stew had a variety of veggies and lots of chicken in each spoonful. Not bad at all. The steak was big. An 18-ouncer, I reckon. The meat was lean with little fat, cooked soft and juicy. Just how I like it. It was a far cry from real gourmet food, but it was delicious in a normal way. Best of all was the fact that there was so much of it. I didn't imagine there'd be food this good served at a concentration camp. The country may be f.u.c.ked, but it's still the country of art. Our average quality of food is on the upside. Makes sense. The future, when it's all over, it might not be so back to move here. I have a dream. A dream, to be a power in the shadows. But once I do that, once I'm satisfied with it to the fullest extent, I wonder what I'll do with the rest of my life. I'd sometimes ponder such things during my days of constant training. I could become a power outside of the shadows, I could become a demon lord set on destroying the world, or I could become something like a master who trains future heroes. I thought on a lot of possibilities and ended up on something very simple. I'd want a life where I could eat good food every day and sleep to my heart's desire. Be happy with just that much. I'd spend my whole life at full throttle only to end up at a slow cruise. Yes, that just makes sense to me. What if I poisoned you? Who do you think you're dealing with? I can tell poison by smell. Really can't. Doesn't really matter when I can break down any poison with mana. Good nose on Yat. Yat. Wish I had one. Especially that one time, back when I was still in the business, yeah, one of my boys tried to poison me. Not a fun time, let me tell ya. Yeah. Made it out of that alive, but as you can see, it all went to s.h.i.t and here I am. Zach began talking despondently. Gimme a sword and I can fight. This dam.net country, I tell ya, magi swords aren't worth a dam.n. Stealing pays more than working for some r.e.t.a.r.d.n.o.bly. Honestly thought I'd make it like that, yeah, all in the past. Royalists didn't give a damn.n about magi swords and it bit m back in the b.a.l.l. sack when Doem used m to take over. Some irony. Okay. Okay. Talk to me about that Clara girl. I was done eating now, so I went on to the main topic. Why do ya gotta ask me? You should know all there is to her a lot better. Sure I do, but maybe I don't know everything about the here and now. No loss in making sure my own intel matches up with everything else. Apt diligence leads to a longer life. I narrow my eyes and smile meaningfully. Tisk, you know your stuff. I really can't tell you a lot. Not a problem. Humph. Zach let out a snort and started talking. Should be obvious from the name, but Clara Oriana is that infamous Rose Oriana's little sister. She tried to go against the Doem faction early on, got caught, ended up here. Here. Still, she's royalty, and they can't execute her right away. Even Lord Doem is having trouble on how to deal with her, but that ain't the real story at all apparently. Go on. Go on. Clara Oriana is a big face of the anti-Doem flag. Flag. She's got a lot of people listening to her. Even here in the camp. Zach raised a corner of his mouth in a smirk. Apparently, Lord Doem's trying to use Clara Oriana to gather in the people opposed to him so he can get rid of them all at once. That's it? What did I tell ya? It's not a lot. Don't you know a lot more? Perhaps. Perhaps. I hid my mouth behind my fingers and, with serious eyes, stared directly at Zach. Care to know? Naturally, I didn't know a thing, so I used some INST mono release to add on the pressure. See, cut it out. See, cut it out. I said I didn't give a damn.n about the politics. Wise decision. Smile was a smile that implied dark, terrible secrets. With an attitude as if I see all and know all, I acted the part of a power in the shadows. Shadows. It's not a matter of my speech but also my mannerisms from my eyes to my fingertips. This is it, this is perfection. Come on. Come on, man, this ain't good for my heart. Zach wiped off the sweat he'd been building up and got up. I got business to take care of. Boss called. Your boss? Yeah. Yeah. Do camp boss. Zach said with irritably before finally leaving the room. Good. Good. Nothing to do other than tail him. Chapter 149, Code 0. Through empty hallways, Zach headed towards the bas.e.m.e.nt. Past aged corridors that stank of rusted iron, he stopped before a large door. Door. He retrieved a key from his breast pocket and turned the lock. Checking behind him to make sure he hadn't been tailed, Zach entered the room. Heard the lock click as soon as the door was closed. I too checked my surroundings and seeing no one there, I revealed myself. Turned the door handle. Locked, as expected. I jutted some slime into the keyhole and picked the lock. Lockpicking is something I learned in my past life, so it was a breeze. What's a power in the shadows if he can't open a few closed doors? Incidentally, I have my slimes hidden inside my body so they won't find anything even with a full pat down. I checked the presences on the other side and, determining it to be safe, stealthily entered the room. It was a large, dimly lit room. A cellar of sorts. At the back of the room, there was a lit lamp with a number of men gathered around it. Sneaked closer and hid behind a crate. I checked and the crate was empty. The men were discussing something in the dark room. Zach was among them. Boss. Boss, we're all here like you ordered. Seems so. The man who the others seemed to defer to as their boss stepped forward. I'd imagined him to be something like a boss grunt, but he turned out to be a lot younger. In his early 20s, most likely. He had gray hair extending down to his shoulders and was well featured. He was no grunt. In fact, he even looked sort of intelligent. Intelligent. From his musculature and posture, I could tell that he was trained in martial arts. He didn't have the air of an prisoner at all. I like it. Breaking the mold and all that. Well met. Well met, brothers. The Doem faction is pleased with your various contributions. The boss said with a practiced voice, casting his gaze over the surrounding men. then proceeded to ask each one of them what he desired. I see, so the thing about giving it to a guard was a lie. Zach, what about you? I want food. Good food and more of it. Enough for 2 people at least. Nicely done, Mr. Zach. Gonna put on pounds, Zach. Cringed from the surrounding jeers. Boss, let's have another stripper show with the boys. That S.H.I.T's great, boss. Again. Try to keep it in moderation, men. Like that. Like that, Mr. Handsome bossman listened to everyone's requests one by one. And once he was done, his face turned serious for the first time. Brothers, we are in difficult times. Lately, there have been more attempts to cull our numbers. Why, only yesterday, a coach carrying officers was a.s. solved, resulting in 7 dead. For a moment, I thought that was talking about me, but I didn't leave the camp yesterday, so it must be someone else. He's skilled. Every time he's killed, he's done so without a sound. We've taken to calling him Owl. Owl. Owl, sounds important. And believe it or not, there are signs that this B.A.S.T.A.R.D owl is in this camp. Got a slight reaction out of Zach. Zach, something the matter? And nothing, boss. Zach lowered his gaze to escape from his boss's overpowering stare. This owl likely wants to get in contact with Clara Oriana. We must find him before he does. Is that clear? All the men nodded. Then that is all for now. No, there is one last matter. We have a traitor amongst us. Bossman drew a knife and poised it towards Zach. You. And with surprising speed, he threw it. Other than me, none of the men gathered could dodge a throw like that. The knife grazed past Zach's ears and sunk into the face of the man behind him. This is the fool who dared to leak our info to the royalists. Royalists. The other men simply looked on silently as the traitor bled and died. That is all. You all may leave. And leave they did without a moment to spare. Zach, however, was the only one told to stay. You're not hiding something, are you? The bossman looked at Zach with chilled eyes. And never, boss. Zach squeaked while seating bullets. All right. All right. I will believe you. The bossman patted Zach on the shoulder once, and left the cellar. Now left alone, Zach heaved a shuddering sigh and wiped off his sweat. Which is when I decided to also pat his shoulder. Oh. Wait, what? You. What the actual f.u.c.k? Mr. Zach got extremely freaked, and then seriously angry. Oops. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Thanks for keeping the secret. Like I have a choice. He'd kill me soon as I told. Likely. Likely, yes. But damn.n, so you're really that owl. True. Truthfully, I'm really not. Wait, you're not. Zach didn't seem very convinced. I never went out yesterday. This owl is likely someone similar to me. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You think you can pass any info about owl to me? You saw it, right? Bossman's suspicious of me. Mainly cause of you. Shouldn't take me long to find out who owl is. I can't guarantee if I can have you know, however. There are few people in my line of business, those of reputable skill often turn out to be acquaintances. I said this so he doesn't ask any more questions. Since I had no clue who owl is. f.u.c.k me. You gotta help me out, man. Boss is f.u.c.king ruthless, you saw him, right? You might be fine. Fine. You can use your mana. But me, I got nothing. Oh, by the way, your boss's mana seal collar. It's a fake. Why you're kidding me? Nope. Fuke. Fuke, so he's even stronger than you. What do you think? I did the instant mana release trick causing a small gust. Yeah, maybe not. It doesn't really. Oh. What's this? Due to the sudden wind, a small piece of paper landed at my feet. I picked it up and got a brilliant idea. Interesting. Interesting. I muttered cryptically. What's going on? A note from one of my agents. I now have a very good idea who this owl really is. What? That's way too fast. Take a look. I handed over the blank piece of paper. I can't see anything. It only responds to very specific mana signatures. Signatures. Namely mine. It's also an encrypted message. Seriously, looks completely white to me. Zach scrutinized the page from all sorts angles. Can't you tell me something, even a hint? You're sure? I closed in and whispered to him. Code 0. Code Gear. Gear. 0 being the first of numbers, meaning. Me meaning what? Zach gulped. All will begin at last. I said while simultaneously erasing my presence and moving out of sight super fast. Huh? He's gone? F.U.C.Kin.H.E.L.L, the door's still closed, how? Inside the empty crate, I stayed hidden until Zach left. Chapter 150, Who do you think you're dealing with? I was genuinely curious about Owl, so I walked all around the camp the whole night. Results, nothing. I'm really going at it blindly. The only thing I know is that Owl is supposed to be somewhat strong. I couldn't check each and every person in the camp, but I was about to determine that there were around 10 people who might fit the bill. I did this by looking at how they walk and how they handle themselves, but that didn't mean much. Not really. There are times when a weak-looking guy is unexpectedly powerful, or when a muscle head might actually be a really weak. So basically, I gave up. With so few clues, I couldn't do it. Maybe I should go out into town tonight and ask around. I'll think about it later. Okay. Okay, that out of the way, I went ahead and had the breakfast that Mr. so graciously prepared, and was currently out on a walk under the refreshing sunlight pouring down on the camp courtyard. Very much like the cool winter air coupled with a beautiful, sunny sky. Sky was clear, and, I can't explain this well, but it sort of felt like my soul was being reinvigorated. Walking past the hobo-like prisoners having their bad soup and worse bread, I noticed that I didn't look like a mob at all. Don't get me wrong. Wrong. I can pull off the mob role no problem in a town. But compared to these people, I wasn't dirty and ragged enough. Well, enough. Well, I'm still new here, and blending in should come naturally with the time, so I know. Noticed people shouting. How dare you accuse us? A crowd had formed. I squeezed my way through them. I felt like this was going to get fun and I wanted front row seats. Seats? Don't you dare deny it, said Clara Oriana, facing a mobbish dude at the center of it all. The guy was some no-name from the meeting in the cellar last night. Behind Clara stood people who were probably from the Royalists' camp, and behind the no-name stood people from the Doem side. Among them, I could see Zach and also their boss. Royalists and Doem camp are going at it? Things might get B.L.O.O.D.Y. The rabble chattered. One of ours was murdered last night. When we found him, there were signs of an A.S. assault and torture. Mother of C.R.A.P. Since I was out looking for Owl, I missed a key event. We didn't do nothing. He was tortured. You're about the only people who'd resort to that, confess at once. Clara cried furiously. Serves him right? I say good f.u.c. kin riddance. Knave. In her anger, Clara slapped the no-name. Suddenly, everyone got quiet, as if time had stopped. Then. Done it now, B.I.T.C.H. The guy who got slapped grabbed and raised the club at his waist. Yeah, this be no good. Clara can't handle that. Worst case, the club cracks her head open and she's dead. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, but I don't like it if some no-name mob suddenly kills a major character. Huh. Muttered Clara, her eyes wide in shock. Right before her eyes, the man who was about to swing down a weapon at her, had spontaneously collapsed. The club he was holding was flung high into the air. Huh? Huh? What just happened? How'd he just? The rabble were scared and confused. It can't be Al. Find him. He's here somewhere. Al. Both royalists and Doem camp went on guard. I was the culprit though. It was simple. I had a piece of slime detach from the bottom of my shoe and burrow underground. Then I had it shoot out from under the guy and hit him under the jaw. No one noticed, but that's fine. Fine. That right there was very much was a power from the shadows would do. Or so I thought, by Mr. Zach was glancing at me with suspicion. I made a cryptic smile, and purposefully looked away perfection. Now that's what I call a job well done. Which was when I noticed it. The club that had been sent flying was coming down my way. And suddenly, I had a eureka moment. Show ain't over yet. My role of that of a power in the shadows is done for now. However, I have yet to fulfill my role as a mob. I took only an instant to determine the club's trajectory, and as it wouldn't actually hit me in my current position, I swiftly moved to the spot where it would land. Having expected I'd need it at some point, I placed a small blood back in my mouth and looked upwards. And the club struck down right on my nose. Poof! Blew the prepared blood in my mouth from out my nose and fell back. The blood sprayed out like a fountain, glistening in the light of the sun. Quite artistic if I do say so myself. Mob arts, nosebleed splasher. This is a pretty high-level technique. Ugh. I'm gonna puke. Egg. It's on my face. To you people of the camp who wish to see carnage, I present to you a fountain of nose blood. And there you have it. While the power in the shadows aids the MC, some random mob gets the unfortunate role of being collateral. Wait, you're hurt? I was collapsed on my back, completely sated, but seeing as Clara was running over, I quickly pretended to be out cold. Chapter 151, The Princess's Mob Friend. I was carried into a room and laid down on a bed. The blood from my nose had dried due to the cold air outside, and someone was in the process of wiping it clean. I took that as an opportunity to wake up. Ugh, where am I? I made a show of looking around everywhere confused. Confused. It was another private room. While the dimensions were the same as the room Zach was using, this room was a lot more modest, containing only necessities and no leisure items. Clara was beside the bed, and one of her faction men was standing at the door giving me the stink eye. I'm so glad you're all right. You were struck hard, so try not to move right away. Huh. Huh, aren't you? Oh, pardon me, I've yet to introduce myself. Though it's likely you already know, I'm Clara Oriana. My name's Sid Cajano. See you took care of me. My utmost thanks. I spoke in a shaky voice as if trying my best not to offend the royalty before me. It's all right. In the first place, you were unluckily caught up between our dispute. No, That was when the man in front of the door clicked his tongue. Lady Clara, I believe you've done enough. Enough. We have no need to concern ourselves with him any longer. Gin. I understand, but he's still not able to move with his injuries. He might be a ploy to approach you, milady. Milady. We do not have time to deal with such minor things. We have a duty to our people, do we not? The guy called Gin was looking at me in contempt. You're not wrong, Gin, but that doesn't make it fine to ignore someone so injured right in front of me. Please Enough. Enough. Gin, he doesn't know anything. Anything. And to my eyes, he seems no criminal. Is that not so? Clara turned her eyes to me. Yes. I accidentally ran into bodies left in alley by owl. They said I was suspicious and if I can't even help a single injured boy, how could I possibly try to protect my country? Clara declared and grasped my hand. By your will. I shall be outside. Outside. Gin said and then left the room. Before the door was fully closed, he gave me one last mean glare. But if I wasn't seeing it incorrectly, it wasn't just at me, but also towards Clara. Once the door was shut, Clara let out a sigh. I apologize. He means well for me, It's just. Just. No, I'm all right. Everyone's under a lot pressure. Even I. Pressure. Even I. The one who's supposed to have this role isn't even me, but. Clara spoke glumly. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. It's really none of your concern after all. You're not from Oriana, are you? Th. That's right. I'm a student from the Midgar Magi Sword Academy. At the Magi Sword Academy? Then, do you perhaps know of my sister? Clara turned and faced me curiously. Yes, I do know Miss Rose. I've spoken to her before. You have? Then do you know about the incident where she killed my father? Yes. Yes. I was among the spectators when it happened. Are you sure? Was it really her who did it? Yes. Yes, it was definitely Miss Rose. So it was. Clara's shoulders drooped in defeat. Father had been strange for some time before, and I knew that she was looking for the cause. Cause? Really, why did it have to end up like this? Everyone is calling her a traitor to the nation now. Couldn't believe it, I didn't want to. I was somewhat at a loss as to what I should say. I let out a sigh and decided to just speak what's on my mind. The way I saw it, she had an important reason for doing what she did. I don't know what that reason was, and I can't say if you'll be able to accept it even if you knew her reasons. Reasons? What I do know is that Miss Rose had done it with the utmost of resolve. Resolve, is that how it looked? Haha, thank you, that made me feel somewhat better. You know, I really loved my sister who could do anything and everything. Everything. I looked up to her. So when I heard of the tragedy, I still wanted to believe in her. Clara shook her head side to side, as if driving away the negativity. You must have gotten along with her well. Well, actually, I faced her once in the Senbutsu tournament during the G.O.D of War Festival. You have? What happened? I completely lost. Well, you do look terribly weak. Clara said with a mischievous grin. May I call you Sid? You can simply call me Clara as well. That's kind of. Oh, no need to be shy. In here, I'm a prisoner same as you. Well, then sure. Sure. But only when in private, please. Right. If Gin were to find out, I'd never hear the end of it. That aside, tell me more about how my sister was at the academy. And that's what I did for the next few hours. This might not seem like the thing a mob should be doing, but not to worry. Worry. I can fix it. I am simply one of Miss Rose's many mob friends, and because of that fact, I am a mob who Clara can talk to,